Daytona 500 means the start of the motorsports season. Welcome to qualifying here on Wednesday evening. It's prime time viewing to see who's going to take pole position for the 67th running of the Daytona 500 and who has to fight their way in the duels tomorrow. Welcome to the start of NASCAR in 2025. Hello everybody, welcome to NASCAR. Well, we've had Bowman Gray and the excitement of the clash as well. For once, we actually enjoyed it. Now, we're back to a super speedway. Daytona kicks off the 2025 season, and as always, it's confusing. We've had practice earlier on in the day, which told us very little. Now we're going pretty much blind into qualifying, and then tomorrow we go racing with 2 dual races in order to set the grid further back through the field and actually find out who sets in. And then we straight in to the Daytona 500. I'm Joshua Birch, alongside me is USON's own Matthew Owens. Matthew, welcome. It's one of our rare times we get to share the booth together, and boy oh boy am I excited. It's NASCAR and we're back.
Yeah, very excited. Love this whole week. What used to be a week and a half festival of speed weeks, now it's 4.5 days, but it's still so exciting. This qualifying session is one of, if not the biggest of the year. It certainly is the most complicated but fun way to set a lineup for a NASCAR Cup Series race, with 2 cars out setting traditional qualifying laps tonight and then 2 qualifying races tomorrow. It's so much fun, and it also is so dramatic.
We're going to be on USON as well, so I'll hand back over to Matthew to lead us back in as we get ready for the green light to go on, and we'll fade up the musics.
All right, we are ready to go here on USRN and JB Motorsports. We are excited for it. Daytona 500 qualifying tonight is single car qualifying, as we've talked about, and this is the traditional part of this qualifying session, with 1 car going out, setting 1 lap across 2 different rounds. We'll talk about that more as the night goes on, and we are ready for the first car to hit the track, and it is Justin Haley for Spire Motorsports. New look on that number 7, the Chili's sponsorship on the number 7 car. He's going to hit the high banks first. Again, this is 1 timed lap, so as Haley has hit the track, he's already climbed the banking on the west end of the speedway to get that car wound up, because it is only 1 time lap, so you've got to hit your marks off of pit road to get the fastest lap time possible.
Yeah, got to get through 45 cars to qualify as well, and this morning only 43 of those ran. We didn't have 2 cars heading out there on the circuit as well, just making sure that everything would be a-okay. Brad Keselowski was in trouble, so was AJ Allmendinger with a front right issue. Steering column for Brad Keselowski. We'll get into that later on, but for Justin Haley this morning, a quite calm session, I would put him down. I was just skating through where he was in the results. Can't actually find him on my timing screens there, Matthew. Didn't run this morning.
And of course, those timings this morning has very little to do with what we're doing tonight, as it were, because there were some guys that ran all by themselves. There were other guys that had some drafting help. So I'm not sure if anything that we got this morning is going to translate into what we're going to get to tonight. Justin Haley now full-time with the Spire Motorsports team after starting the year last year with Rick Ware Racing. He's won here at Daytona before in the Cup Series. That was a number of years back in a rain-shortened race, but he knows, and this team knows, how to get around these super speedways well, and Justin Haley is coming to the flag to complete his only lap of this first round run.
It's a 49.825 speed at 180.632, so it's not exactly blistering there. And that car very much was bouncing, it looked like, as well. It did not look settled, the number 7, but here's the 47, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming in, 4 career wins, 37 years old, 13th year of the Cup Series, and he's already starting to take the green flag now.
Yeah, they will get these cars off onto the racetrack very quickly here. Of course, once upon a time ago, Daytona 500 qualifying was a 4-hour event on a Sunday, the day after what was known as the Busch Clash or the Budweiser Shootout or the Sprint Unlimited, however, whatever year we landed on. But they want to get this done quickly. Former Daytona 500 winner is Stenhouse from Olive Branch, Mississippi. And it's going to take some time getting used to the new team name here. This 47 car used to always be under the JTG Doherty Motorsports nameplate. It is now Hayek Motorsports that this 47 car is under now, as Stenhouse comes to complete his lap, and it's much slower than Haley's by about a third of a second.
Yeah, not the best start, is it, really, compared to it all? They're all a bit... I don't want to say struggling out there, but they do look like they are struggling a bit, don't they? There's a lot of bouncing going around on the side of the circuit, and I'm not entirely pleased with.
Yeah, and porpoising was a real issue for guys earlier this morning in that practice session, as John Hunter Nemechek in his green Toyota for Legacy Motor Club takes the green flag.
So it's a 150.148 across the board then, so that's still slower. And the qualifying is going to continue on FS1 shortly as well, so that's going to be quite typical, because that means our stream's going to disappear, which is perfect unless they can switch it around. So we might miss a couple of things, but we'll keep you up to date on the timing battle screens. So this is good, looking good for Nemechek, picking it up already. It's at full throttle, 180 mile an hour coming through 3 and 4. We've got Steinhaus Juniors going through, and they are going to switch over qualifying shortly, which is insane. Just stick it on one channel and leave it there. Nemechek comes through and does a 50.025. That puts him second fastest, first one of the night to go above another runner.
And I've got the second screen up, so I'll try to keep you... if something happens, we'll try to get it... we'll try to keep it as cleaned up as possible.
So let's have a word down to the pits.
6 a.m., I think.
Yeah, I didn't know if this would be the only time we'd ever run into Cup Series, so I didn't want to miss the whole process. I wanted to see the car get unloaded, go through tech, and just take it all in. It's been an awesome day. We're very, very lucky to be here. Very thankful for an opportunity to go out there and put a lap down, and we'll see how it goes. We're prepared. Greg Ives and all of our groups worked really, really hard to get the car together, and so we're having a great time. It's been a great day.
Got a good wheelman behind there and a beautiful looking race car, not to mention, Mike.
6 a.m. Matthew Hughes here. 6 a.m.
That's not surprising. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr., of course, Junior Motorsports, coming to the Cup Series for the first time with Justin Allgaier to try to attempt this race. He's one of the open cars. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to some open cars on the track. Michael McDowell, who was on the front row for the 100 last year, started second with Front Row Motorsports. Now he's moved teams. He's to the number 71 for Spire Motorsports. Comes around to complete his lone timed lap in this round, and he goes to the top of the board with a 49.571, does McDowell.
I'll go fix.
And that will bring, as we'll quickly, as we'll swiftly transition to Noah Gragson on the racetrack. Now, of course, McDowell, as mentioned, changing teams in the offseason. Noah Gragson is as well. Now, that still very much looks like a Stewart-Haas racing car in that number 4 Ford that Gragson is in, but that is now a Front Row Motorsports entry for Noah Gragson from Las Vegas. And a Rush Truck Centers sponsorship on the machine for the Daytona 500. For the 26-year-old, that will be making his 4th career start in the 500. He is on his one-time lap. Again, 2 rounds of qualifying. This is the first round. The top 10 from the first round advance into the second round, which is the run for the pole. Gragson completes his lap, 49.660 seconds. That's 89 one-thousandths of a second slower than McDowell, but it does put him up to second fastest. And in the chat section on YouTube, as we're on USRN and JB Motorsports, of course, we've got Philip here, says hello from Cleveland. Adam is with us. Good evening from the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina. And glad to have everyone with us. However, you are twisting us in, whether on YouTube or on Mixler. Glad to have you along for the ride. Zane Smith is on the racetrack now for Front Row Motorsports. Another one of the moving and shakings of the offseason was Smith coming up full-time cup racing and moving to Front Row Motorsports. Lime green Speedy Cash number 38 Ford for this young driver, former champion of the Truck Series. Now, Front Row Motorsports were elite qualifiers on these super speedways last year with Michael McDowell and Todd Gilliland, and this is a good lap from Smith, 49.505 seconds, puts Smith at the top of the board. Now, I mentioned the open cars that are trying to make this race. We have 45 cars here. Only 40 or 41 will start, and one of those open cars is Martin Truex Jr., former champion of the NASCAR Cup Series, who has gone into retirement. He's going to run some races this year, and he's going to run this race, or attempt to run this race, with Tricon Garage, which is a full-time team in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and Truex is one of the open cars. So, he either has to be one of the two fastest open cars in qualifying tonight, or the top finisher among the open cars in his qualifying race tomorrow. If he's not, Truex will not be in the field for the 500 on Sunday. The veteran from Mayetta, New Jersey, brings his Bass Pro Shops Toyota, car number 56, the number he ran for so many years with Michael Waltrip Racing, crosses the line, and he is third fastest at 49.641 seconds. And we'll see how that time lines up with the rest of the open cars as the night goes on. And speaking of open cars, Josh, another one comes onto the racetrack here in Anthony Alfredo.
Yep, Anthony Alfredo coming in and looking quite good for the 45 Building Solutions Chevrolet as well. Nice through turn 1 and 2. The 62 car looking okay this morning, but he's only a tenth down, 2 tenths down the exit of turn 2, so not picking up the pace as we thought he might. As heading out onto the circuit below comes Eric Jones in the 43 car. That's who we're hearing rev up behind us. And the 62 comes out of 3 and 4 up to the tri-oval section. We'll complete the lap time momentarily, and we'll get an idea about where that's going. But still, 2 runs to determine the grid is always an interesting one, and Alfredo is actually decent. He goes up ahead of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. into 7th place with a 50.090, so not a bad time for that 62 car. That 47, as I said earlier, did not look stable, neither did the 7 of Haley, so I'm surprised with Haley's time.
Yeah, you're right, Stenhouse did look very visibly slow. So Alfredo, again, the top 2 open cars tonight in this session make the race. They lock themselves into the 500. So, Alfredo slots in behind Truex among the open cars. Eric Jones on the racetrack, as Josh mentioned, from Byron, Michigan. He has a couple of Daytona wins to his name. He won the 400 here when driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2018. And then in 2020, also for Joe Gibbs, he won the Clash, a crash-filled Clash, that he won with a very damaged race car, but he knows how to get it done at Daytona.
Zane Smith, though, that's what I missed when I was away, as I'm just filling in my qualifying order worksheet so that we can keep an eye on what's happening up in the comms box. What a time there. Oops, look, a little bit of a slide there actually coming through for Zane. Catched it coming out of turn 4 into the tri-oval, puts his hand up towards the window to cover up the gap in the netting in order to go fast. Of course, it was this time last year we saw Joey Logano had that special glove made with the knitted hand that was giving him such an advantage, and we didn't find out about it until after Atlanta.
Jones slots in 6th fastest, as now taking the green flag, the reigning NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, Justin Allgaier, another one of the open entries. He's the one driving car number 40 for Junior Motorsports, who of course he's driven for so very long in the Xfinity Series. What a feel-good story it was for Allgaier to win that Xfinity Series championship last fall, Josh, because he's been at it for so long. basically a lifer in the Xfinity Series. He came up to the Cup Series for a couple of seasons, but he's a lifer in the Xfinity Series, and to finally win that championship was a big moment for him.
And I think very much deserving that they're now coming up to the Cup Series, and of course it's a dream for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's now being here as a team owner, who's won the Daytona 500 so many times. Now he's here actually doing this. It sort of gives you a bit of run through, and he's watching on now as Argyle goes into 6th place. That's a competitive car, 49.863, and I think they'd be very happy with that in the first run. Here's a man. Oh dear.
So that puts Allgaier between Truex and Alfredo, so that means Alfredo will not lock in tonight, so he will have to race his way in tomorrow. And another open car now hits the racetrack. 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion and 2-time winner of the Daytona 500, Jimmy Johnson, is on the clock. He is an open car. He has to either time trial his way in tonight or race his way in tomorrow night, which he had to do last year, of course, Josh, and almost missed the race.
Yeah, and he didn't get very far in the actual 500, lap 3, before getting involved in an accident and was written out. And as we were commentating last year on the Duels, he only just got through. He was tailing towards the back so much, and at one point in the race, we were saying, that's it, he's done, because he was so far back. Made an impressive get through, and I think he got, what, the second to last position to cut through? So he was just in to do so. He's looking a bit more competitive this year, but his age starting to catch up with the legend.
Driving, of course, for the team that he now is the majority owner of, Legacy Motor Club, and he comes to the line, and he's slotted up 5th at 49.783, so that's put him ahead of Allgaier, which means Allgaier will have to race his way in tomorrow. He will not time his way in tonight, and currently Johnson joins Truex as the fastest 2 open cars. Still 5 more open cars to go, and one of them is on the track now, but this is an interesting story, unique, as Helio Castroneves is on the clock for the first time at Daytona.
Yeah, he's got that very special EVP, isn't he? He can do whatever he likes, but there is an importance here. He must qualify to go through, because if he, even though he's in the Project 91 car, which is run by Trackhouse, if he has to take that entry provisional, which is the 41st entry, the 91 team do not get paid for this event, and Trackhouse are running this car at a loss. They could do with every penny that counts. So really, even though he's in, he needs to qualify to get in order to make sure they get paid at the end of the day. So there's a bit of pressure on him, but he is here, and it's split the paddock. Jimmy Johnson saying, I don't like it. Even Martin Truex Jr. saying, I don't like it. He's sort of ruffled some feathers as he comes up to the line.
And Castroneves, car 91, slots in not so quick. 10th fastest of the 12 at 50.069 seconds. So Castroneves is not going to time his way in tonight. And again, for him, he doesn't have to race his way in, as Josh mentioned, tomorrow night. But what he does tonight and now tomorrow night directly impacts what everyone else does as far as the open entries. But they obviously didn't have the speed they were hoping to have in that 91 car tonight.
No, they do not, and that's going to be even worse then for everybody looking on. And he sort of wanted to put it behind him, saying, let's just race our way through, make sure it's all good. And for it now not to happen, and for it to like, ooh, we're going to have to really be on the fence here. I've got a feeling, Matthew, we're going to have 41 cars in the Daytona 500.
Very well might. Just to mention Philip's comment, yes, you are correct. The last open car to go out will be Chandler Smith. He is the 25th car to come out. What is that, about 13 cars away?
Yeah.
So once Chandler Smith times in, we will know which 2 open cars have locked their way in tonight and who will have to race in tomorrow night. Of course, those qualifying races at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, a pair of 60-lap, 150-mile races.
Just very interesting with the times we saw this morning, which is at 187, was the top with Denny Hamlin as well. The lowest we saw was 179.669 from JJ Yellowly. But the times here in this session, if we take a look, still not that great to begin with. 181s and 179s on the board. So track temperature has dropped since this morning. Of course, we ran at 10 a.m. Now we're moving in at 8 p.m. So there's a long gap in between. But cooler track temperature should be helping the cars go faster. They like running at night here at Daytona. We often see higher speeds. So I'm expecting when we get to the second run rounds, that's when we're going to be seeing the sort of 188s, 189s that we saw last year.
Yeah, and again, the top 10 from this round move on into the final round that will decide the pole, and those 10 will probably run slower their second time around than their first because the car will not be as cool as it was on the first run. If we want to have the conversation, do we need 2 rounds to decide this? We can. I mean, we did it for ages with just going out once and running 2 laps, and that seemed to work just fine, and then they changed it.
I was about to say to you, that sounds like a much more better way to do it. 2 laps, have an average, and go from there. Same way we do it at the Indy 500 as well, but they, of course, have 4 laps across the average. But let's admit it, we're slower than an Indy car on an oval, and Daytona is, I think, too challenging to do 4 laps at one go. The cars will overheat without having some things. So 2 runs would be better, to be fair, as Cody Ware is out there on the circuit now as well.
Greensboro, North Carolina, driving for Rick Ware Racing, and he was 4th here at Daytona last year in the 400-mile race, his best career finish. And this is a car that is locked into the field in this 51 as he comes to the green flag.
Yep, over the line and through the tribal section, which never really does well to get speed up. It's always sort of like you're trailing at the exit. You get it when you're flat out. 1 and 2, shrub off around about 5 to 10 mile an hour. You can see it on the clock, look, 170, 169, that's flacking. And then as soon as you exit the corner and you get onto the back stretch, that'll start to rise. Full throttle. It's saying it's only at 76. I presume that's still the glitch from Fox's speed, but it's only 174 mile an hour. It's not looking good here from Cody. And a bit of proportion already on the front end as he comes into 3 and 4. He's already second off. That is not a good time there, Matthew. He's really backed out.
Yeah, if that's right from their timing, then yeah, this is a very slow run as he's off turn 4, a second and a half off the pace of, that's not even off the pace of the top car, that's off the pace of Castroneves in 10th. So Cody Ware is going to be slowest of our 13 runners at 51.835. That is massively off the paces. Cody Ware has dropped anchor there in that car. And already onto the racetrack, set to take time, is Cole Custer, back into the Cup Series full-time now for the Xfinity Series champion from 2 years ago. This is a Haas Automation sponsored number 41 car. Now, of course, Stewart Haas Racing dissolved at the end of last season. Gene Haas kept one team open in the Cup Series. It's now called the Haas Factory Team. They'll also run in the Xfinity Series, but Cole Custer is up with this Haas Factory Team in the Cup Series this year, the driver from Ladera Ranch, Texas.
And he's already faster with the virtual cam we've got set up here as well than Cash Neves, who's running in 10th position. He's at 180 mile an hour now. Cash Neves on the backstretch was at 179. There's about a mile an hour difference, but look in the corner already as well. That Cole Custer had a big lift, and he's really put the throttle back down. He's still about 2/10 up. It's got much better traction coming into the tri-oval.
That ghost car, IndyCar fans probably need to get used to that. They'll probably have that ghost car on Fox on their coverage for qualifying this year as Custer's across the line in 49.83 seconds, 7th fastest. He knocks Castroneves out of the top 10. Again, it's only the top 10 that moves on into the run for the pole. Sophomore Carson Hocevar is now on the racetrack, the reigning Cup Series Rookie of the Year. He's from Michigan, had a very impressive season last year, and he's on the track and on the clock as he begins year 2 in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yeah, Carson Hocevar, Rookie of the Year, but a couple of ups and downs last year with some biggies. But very impressive. Looks to settle down now. Was what we saw. I said the same about Josh Berry. He had sort of a half year, didn't he, before his first full season, and he settled down a bit. Everyone's looking at that to come in. Are we going to hear from Cash Neves? I know you do love him, Matthew.
And so I know it isn't what you wanted. What did you do good and what what could you have done better?
Yeah, so I thought the launch was pretty good because they were really focused on that. I hit the marks that I needed, and I even put my hands. They said, you can't put the hand on between the gap. I was like, yeah, I can do that. But man, that was surprising. I did not expect to be that. This morning, my first lap wasn't that bad. So, but in the end of the day, obviously, different atmosphere, different weather at night. So maybe we got to just check it out what it is. But we might have one of those downforce cars that's really good in the race. So hopefully that's the case. I'm going to think about that, positive. But yeah, no, it was not what we expected. But in the end of the day, we got to keep working.
Go race your way in tomorrow night, right?
That's right. Absolutely right. Watch out.
All right, the Wendy Sharp.
Wow.
Absolutely love hearing from Elio. He is just the most infectious, with positive attitude driver you can imagine. As Carson Hocevar, by the way, where did he get to? He was 9th fastest, 49.865. And now on the racetrack is Austin Dillon, going to make his 13th start in the Daytona 500. He sat on the pole for this race as a rookie in 2014, and he won it in 2018, driving for Richard Childress, his grandfather, of course. And the RCR cars always have good speed here at Daytona. Let's see what his first lap's going to be, Josh. It's going to be easily enough to get him into that top 10.
It's going to be enough to go fastest overall. It's a 49.487. Fantastic to be around about 6. Well, I'm trying to work it out now off the top of my head. Look funny. 19 thousandths of a second nearly. Wow. 18 or something like that across, but that's great from Austin Dillon. Really got the track to himself there. 3-car course running well here, as historically it has done. BJ McLeod now coming out as well, as Joey Logano just having a little catch up down there as well, making sure it's all okay for when he goes out there. But McLeod, unfortunately, does not look like he's going to set anything like we just saw with Austin Dillon. He's only 2 tenths down by the time we get to exit turn 2.
Yeah, McLeod with one of the open entries, going to have to qualify or race his way in. He is a Floridian from Wauchula, Florida, and had a really strong run in the early going of the spring Talladega race last year. Actually led that race before fuel pickup problem, I believe it was, from memory. As McLeod, owner-driver, this is his team, Live Fast Motorsports, comes towards the line, and it does not look like he is going to be close to either Martin Truex Jr. or Jimmy Johnson, so he will not qualify his way in tonight. 50.626. That is only good enough for 16th out of 17.
To answer Philip's question, do we have the radio coverage of NASCAR here in the UK, or is it blocks like BBC F1's in America? We have the radio coverage over here in the UK. However, it's littered with adverts. So it's pretty much useless. It's adverts every 3 minutes. So we tend to stick with Fox. Surprisingly, they have less adverts.
Ryan Preece on the racetrack from Connecticut. New ride for him this season as he becomes the 3rd driver at RFK Racing. This is a big year, many people believe, for Ryan Preece, because this is a guy that's been in the Cup Series for a couple of years with Stewart-Haas Racing, never really had a big moment. Jumping up in quality of team, you would have to think, from SHR, what they were in their last days, to RFK. Can Ryan Preece prove that he can be a big-time Cup Series driver? He needs to have a big season. Let's see if he's just turned in a big lap. Boy, he has turned in a big lap. Ryan Preece is fastest. He was a 1/10 of a second faster than Austin Dillon. And I'll tell you guys, the super speedway single-car qualifying, a 1/10 of a second is a lot.
Really is. That was unbelievable speed from Ryan Preece there as well in the number 60. Corey LaJoie will be coming up next as well before we go through to the second field. Just a heads up, if you're watching us on JB Motorsports as well, the coverage of the MotoGP pre-season test from Buriram might be slightly delayed going on air depending on how NASCAR goes. We should be done by 3 a.m. We've got an hour and 17 minutes. We should be done by then. So it's a quick off for us while we go and cover that championship as well. But yeah, it's looking great for Ryan Preece. As Adam now says as well, he'll win in 2025 with RFK Racing. I think he will win. Judging by that lap time, it's quite a good shout that he's got a fast car underneath him. So I don't think it's too early to say who's going to win the Daytona 500. Way too early.
Listen, so today basically doubled down as practice and qualifying day. Also, it was Daytona 500 media day. So after practice this morning, everyone went into the media center and were hitting all of the media stands, if you will. And Brad Keselowski was extremely confident in all three of his cars, himself, Chris Buescher, and Ryan Preece, that they could compete for the pole tonight, because the RFK cars really were not even in the same zip code as the fastest cars in qualifying here last year. He was very confident through practice today that they could compete for the pole tonight, and Ryan Preece, at least for now, is proving that Brad was absolutely correct.
Yeah, and I think that's a bit of a sigh of relief, isn't it, for Brad, because of his issues this morning. He knows that he's got a good car underneath him. He'll go out there and just start blitzing like he does. Slightly concerned with what we could see have possible errors come up the line later on, which is going to be fun. And I'm just looking at it now. It looks like we're going to have a bit of a Daytona 500 shuffle around on our timing screens because there's a few glitches coming up, thanks to 45 cars now on the entry list. But I'm thinking that we're going to see a 3-horse race on Sunday. And I think we're going to see mainly Chevy v Ford. I don't think the Toyotas are going to be there. They have not been surprising me that well so far. I hope I'm wrong, but it's almost likely Chevy. I think will have the front row.
Well, of course, the Toyotas there are less Toyotas in the field. That's big for drafting purposes. But we know Toyotas have very aggressive super speedway drivers in the draft, like Denny Hamlin and Darrell Wallace Jr. and so on, as Corey LaJoie has completed his lap, 49.879 seconds, 180.44 miles an hour. LaJoie 12th fastest. And now on the racetrack, Todd Gilliland. Now, I mentioned earlier, those front row cars last year, terrific super speedway qualifiers a year ago. McDowell won a whole bunch of poles and sat on the front row for the 500. Gilliland was on the front row with McDowell for the summer race here at Daytona. So we'll see what Gilliland can do, as he has now moved up to the #1 driver in this team this year. And as he crosses the line, he is 4th fastest. That's a pretty sporty lap at 49.535.
So just give you an update as well. We had JJ Yellowly go out there. His lap time was a 51.055. That's put him right down in 20th place right now. Only Cody Ware is below him on that list. Now, AJ Allmendinger heads out there, and he had the problem this morning on the front right of his car. Seems to be fixed, but still a lot of proporting down to 1. And that's a weird angle. Look at that. The steering wheel's fighting for him as well. And we're used to seeing bumps at Daytona, but I've never seen bumps that hard that the steering wheel's literally sort of fighting him towards the wall. He's really being thrown around in there.
Yeah, the track definitely growing in character. Not nearly as where it was before the repave when it was so rough, but it is getting rougher as the years go by on this pavement. Allmendinger back full-time in the Cup Series this year after being full-time in Xfinity last year. Brings that number 16 for Colleague Racing off turn 4 and towards the line. And for now, he's going to bump into the top 10, go up to 6th fastest at 49.616. That bumps Cole Custer out of the top 10. So to 6th fastest goes Allmendinger, as Darrell Wallace Jr. is having a stare-down competition with the camera.
Yeah, make yourself feel... There we go. That's it. Just feel better now. Just stop staring down our camera lens. Thank you very much. Ty Dillon heads out there as well now, the 32-year-old. Talladega, of course, back in 2020, finished in 3rd position, but had an up and down last year, did Ty, but led a couple of races, actually. think he even led at one point in Chicago.
Of course, Ty Dillon back in the Cup Series as well. By the way, Fox did not show us the full run from Corey LaJoie, but because LaJoie was the penultimate open car to run and did not go faster than Martin Truex Jr., that means Truex has locked himself into the 500 on time. So Truex will not have to race his way in tomorrow. He is good to go as long as, well, let's just say as long as there's nothing crazy that happens in inspection afterwards, which I can't imagine there would be because they already went through inspection earlier tonight. So Truex is good to go.
Ty Dillon's just gone second fastest, by the way, on a 49.460.
Good lap from that team.
That's getting really good there for the Chevy. Now Riley has, but now how do you pronounce his last name? Because we've been getting so many that I'm saying it wrong. I'd like the Oracle to tell me how you say Riley's last name.
Riley Herbst.
Riley Herbst.
Who won in the Xfinity Series at Indianapolis last year. That unbelievable finish with himself, Cole Custer, and Eric Almirola. And I think we're going to get him on the track here in just a couple of moments as Fox has gone to another break. Fox has tried their best to time their breaks up where we won't miss any runs, even though that wasn't true last time.
Yeah.
But I think Riley Herbst, I think he could have a really good rookie season. I'm not here to tell you he's going to win and compete for a playoff spot, but I really like Riley. A lot of people in his early Xfinity Series years were really negative towards him, like to pile on. Of course, he comes from a money family. That's how he got into the sport to begin with. Say the same thing about the last driver that just ran in Ty Dillon. Riley has really matured a lot, and he showed that off a couple of years ago. He finally won in the Xfinity Series, his first race, dominated at his home track in Las Vegas. Last year had many good runs in that series, and as I mentioned, the win in Indianapolis. He also won, people won't remember, he won at Phoenix in the championship race, passing Justin Allgaier on the last lap as Allgaier finished second to win the championship. Herbst actually won that race. But I think Riley's going to have a really good year for 2311. Third car at 2311 this year.
Right, complete change of topic. We've just seen an advert on the television screen here for a ham and cheese wrap. But that cheese looked like the most custard-looking cheese I've ever seen in my life. What? Do you really eat that over there? Is that really what it looks like? It just looks like it's pulp jelly.
So that was actually not ham. That was roast beef.
What?
Roast beef and cheese from Arby's, yes.
That was beef. Beef.
Yeah, well,
beef looks black over here. Black and brown. That's how beef looks when it's over here. What? Over there, that looks like it's ham. What was that? Well, I love watching Fox's commercials. It's that time of year where we have to sort of deal with FS1 because we don't have the international feed yet. So it's, okay, quite interesting.
It's really quite crazy that we don't have the international broadcasters yet, by the way.
I know over here in the UK it's Premier Sports for another 2 years, which delighted nobody. We all wanted Sky. So, yeah. Riley Herbst heads out of the circuit. Monster.
Here is Herbst from Las Vegas, as I mentioned. He is a part of the Rookie of the Year run this year with Shane Van Gisbergen. Those are two very exciting rookies.
One on debut, SVG, which I think is insane to think.
Yes. Yeah, 2 years ago in Chicago. Now, Riley, he has some Cup experience. He ran every now and again in the Cup Series. And you might remember 2023 in the playoff race at Talladega. He was in the mix to win that race, finished in the top 10. So, yeah, I think Riley's going to have a good year. Again, not saying that he's going to go out and win and put himself in the playoffs, which he may do. but I don't think that's the expectation, but I do think Riley's going to be in for a good year.
He's already 5,000 up for that top 10 bubble. He's battling with Jimmy Johnson for that honour. Johnson wants to be in this. I mean, it's already great that he's safely locked himself in at the moment, but what are we going to see here from Riley across that line? Does he break it? Yes, he does! Johnson's out of the top 10.
So he's out of the top 10, but here's what Johnson is most concerned about, is this car that's going to hit the track right now. Chandler Smith is on the track, a regular driver in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series the last couple of years. He is in the last of the open cars to take time. He just crossed the line. He is on the clock, and if Chandler can best Jimmy Johnson, he will lock himself in. If he is slower than Jimmy, then Johnson will be locked in, because this is the last of the open cars to run. So we're going to figure out a lot of the puzzle right here on this Chandler Smith run.
It is dropping so much. It's 3/10 already by the time that Smith has reached turn 4. Looks like it's done. Looks like it's all to play for. Here we go. Jimmy Johnson watching his eyes, Matthew. Can the old-timer get it in this year?
Smith won 2 races in the Xfinity Series last year at Phoenix and Richmond, finished 5th in the championship in the Xfinity Series last year, but as he crosses the line, he is not close to Johnson, and with that, Jimmy Johnson will race in Sunday's Daytona 500. Let's hear from him.
See the relief. What are the emotions like knowing you're in that situation?
After what I went through last year, I'm so thrilled. Oh my gosh. Very, very proud of everybody at Legacy Motor Club and the effort they put into this car and the evolution we've been on through the end of 24 to now. So very excited. Thankful to have Carvana on board. Shaq, we're in the big show, buddy. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm thrilled.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Regan?
Well, Jamie, another former NASCAR champion, Martin Truex Jr., you are going to start the Daytona 500 as well. I saw the high fives and the smiles down here. How much of a relief is it to not have to go race your way in the duels tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely a big relief. You know, you never know what can happen in the duels. That you get crazy, something on pit road get you in trouble or whatever. So great job by all the guys. You know, they worked their butts off on this car, and they were sweating all afternoon, and you know, luckily we were able to put a good lap in. So thanks to Johnny and Bass Pro and everybody there for helping us put this deal together. All the guys at Tricon and also JGR and Toyota TRD. I'm sure it's a big deal for them. Both cars that just locked in are Toyotas. So big night for them, and hopefully we can have some fun the rest of the week.
Nice job tonight.
Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney, while we were hearing from Jimmy and Martin, Ryan Blaney just timed in 8th fastest at 49.630. So that's a little slower than I think we would have thought the Penske car would run. We're getting into the big hitters here. Blaney just ran. Tyler Reddick is next. And we're getting into the bigger hitters here the further we go into this session.
Yeah, the last one, of course, being Josh Berry, but this is going to get very interesting. Hamlin, I'm going to be keeping my eye on, of course, who was fastest this morning in opening practice. As Tyler Reddick comes through now. Oops! There's still a car at the apron area, just above the apron, actually. So that might just be a little bit of a frightener for him. Still, he's on that bubble for the top 10 of Gregson's time, which is a 49.660. Reddick across the line now in the Nast Beast 45 livery. Can he get inside? Or he's just going to miss out? He just misses out. 49.744.
Toyotas have never been known for having great qualifying speed on these super speedways, so not a huge shock to see Reddick miss out, so he will not compete for the pole later. Here's Denny Hamlin now, a 3-time winner of the Daytona 500 on the clock. Now this is going to take a lot of getting used to. It's not the FedEx Toyota for Hamlin anymore. FedEx has not re-signed with the 11 team. They're no longer in NASCAR at all, so it's going to take a while to get used to that, isn't it?
It's now the National Debt Relief Toyota, similar livery, which helps us identify them out on the track. They were very particular with wanting to keep the Stars and Stripes style effect of what FedEx has, so it's the sort of red, white and blue. So it's looking good so far for Hamlin to easily blitz himself inside that top 10. But yeah, it does look weird not having FedEx on the livery at the front.
He's going to come to the line here, currently tracking faster than 10th place Noah Gregson. So as he hits the line, Hamlin does bump into the top 10, and pretty emphatically, 4th fastest for Hamlin at 49.496. Yeah. First of the Hendrick Motorsports cars to hit the track here is Chase Elliott, and Hendrick Motorsports has really dominated Daytona 500 qualifying here recently. They've won 8 of the last 10 Daytona 500 poles. They've won the pole for the race 16 times total. And Elliott, the winner of the Clash in Bowman Gray, his royal blue Napa number 9, is on the clock.
Yeah, this is should be good. He's having a good week, actually, is Chase Elliott, of course. He won the action coming through at the Bowman Gray Clash, and then he was at the Super Bowl and watched as the Eagles took home the victory as well. Were you covering that?
Oh, absolutely.
I enjoyed that broadcast, actually, as Elliott comes through. It was also on Fox, so I've been on Fox so much this week, I'm starting to support Donald Trump. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm never going to do that. Over the line for Elliott there. Does he get himself in? Answer, well, yes, he does, up to P7. So he's knocked Truex out that top 10, 49.538.
Let's hear from the defending champion.
The field to green in the Daytona 500 a year ago. What's it going to take to go back-to-back and do it again this year?
I don't know. You're not asking the right person. I'm not really sure. For us, I feel like the driver's like 10% of the equation when it comes to super speedrun qualifying. It's really about the team and the prep and everything that they do. So I have a small piece of the puzzle on this one, but I think we have a good shell pencil Mustang. It seems fine in practice, but even then it's hard to say because there's so much dirty air in practice if you don't get a clean run or not. So it's hard to say, but I know I got a good-looking car. I don't know if you've seen our race car, but it looks absolutely amazing. So it'll look better up front if we get it there.
All right, good luck doing that.
Joey Logano, obviously drunk. Just say.
Yeah, the livery on the 22 is the same paint scheme that Joseph Newgarden has driven to the last 2 Indianapolis 500 wins, so they put it on the 22 for the 500 this year, hoping that it could bring him some good luck. Brad Keselowski on the track, Cottonelle, a new sponsor on that number 6 car this year, and he hits the line 8th fastest, so that bumps Ryan Blaney out of the top 10. Keselowski at a 49.545. I feel like he would have wanted to be a little bit faster. His teammate Ryan Preece is top of the board. Keselowski at 8th is going to have to sweat it out here to see if he makes it into the second round.
Here comes the big one everyone's keeping an eye on, Shane Van Gisbergen as well. And he's been nicknamed as Mr. Worldwide as well. You look at, one team, 4 countries represented. USA, Mexico, New Zealand and Brazil over at Trackhouse. They are making their name known, and even in MotoGP this year they're having a very interesting test. So the 2 series are covering. They're looking very strong indeed. Oops. And there goes that picture. Over to you, Matthew.
Yeah, Shane, of course, full-time in the Xfinity Series last year, ran some Cup races a lot towards the end of the year. See what he can do here. In the Daytona 500, here comes SVG, WeatherTech Chevrolet, to the line to complete his run, and it's not fast enough to get into the top 10, 17th fastest at 49.789 seconds, so Shane Van Gisbergen has clocked in, and now Kyle Larson comes onto the racetrack, car number 5 for Hendrick Motorsports. Now, Larson, my goodness, here's a guy that would love to win the Daytona 500. He's one of the many former champions of the series that has not won this race. But goodness, to win it, you have to be around at the end. And unfortunately for Kyle, he's not often around at the end of these Daytona 500s as he is on the clock here. He's never really had great success on the super speedways, Larson. But Josh, in his Daytona career, 21 starts, not even a single top 5. He has more DNFs at Daytona than he has top 10s. And his average finish at Daytona for his career, Kyle Larson, is 22nd. There he is. Very good. But yeah, Larson he never really has the best of luck at these super speedways, but he comes across the line and he's 5th fastest here. That bumps AJ Allmendinger out of the top 10, 49.504. So Larson is 5th fastest. He's only led 36 laps in his career at Daytona. He's completed 3,420 laps. He's only led 36. That equals out to about 1% of the laps he's completed here. He's led.
So now Chris Buescher on his lap time. 9 thousandths off of McDowell, who's got that bubble for the top 10. Can he stay through? He's looking mighty fast through turn 3 and 4. So taking like a midline approach on entry to 3, and then come down ever so slightly towards the yellow lines at the exit of 4. This is a very nice little lap time here. Oh, it's 1 and 2, sorry. Now into the 3 and 4. Same approach as in 1 and 2. He's got to flirt with that yellow line, though. And that's exactly what Buescher's doing. Bring that forward power up into the tri-oval. And then, look at that, he's matching the time for McDowell over the line. This can be very, very close for the top 10. And it's literally 2 thousandths of a second separating them. 49.573 for Buescher, puts himself in 11th position. McDowell can barely believe it's that close.
And Buescher, his teammate right now is P1, and Buescher at P11 going to miss out on the run for the pole. So that's a disappointing run for Buescher. As we're getting down to the last handful of cars here in the first round, Daniel Suarez, who had a super speedway win last year in Atlanta in that 3-wide photo finish, is on the clock. Another one of the Trackhouse cars.
And we're going to be watching that documentary that, if you're watching on Fox Sports 1, that follows us here. The Atlanta finish documentary where the top 4 have got together and are going to be talking about it as well. He's just behind Malcolm McDowell. They're level on mile per hour. Literally to the 1,000th of a second it takes to get there, but McDowell had a better exit out of 2 on his lap. Suarez didn't. That cost him a 1/10 of a second, Matthew, as he comes through 3 and 4. And everyone watching on, McDowell now wants to get inside that top 10. Suarez, though, likes to try and beat him in the Chevy.
Doesn't look like he's going to do it. He's about a 1/10 and a half or so back, so Suarez across the line, 16th fastest. So for now, McDowell stays in that top 10, but he still has, oh goodness, about 11 cars to get through.
Oh, look!
He is on the bubble. Hey, Joseph Newgarden is on screen. Very good.
Fantastic. This is one thing I was complaining about in the NASCAR race that we saw at Bowman Gray. Of course, all of the Saturday and Sunday, we never once saw an advertisement for IndyCar as it's coming to Fox. Now we're here at the Daytona 500 and straight away it's bang. This is what we're getting. Look, here we go. IndyCar's back. You're finally promoting it to motorsport people, not just people who watch football, which I found was daft.
Be nice if we could get Joseph over to do a NASCAR race.
That would be insane.
It would be... I've always said the double, the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, has always been something that's done by the NASCAR drivers. The NASCAR drivers go to Indy, then come back to Charlotte. We've never seen an IndyCar driver, a regular in IndyCar, do it. Of course, we've seen past IndyCar drivers do it, like Tony Stewart, Robbie Gordon, John Andretti. But we haven't seen an IndyCar regular do the 500, then fly south to Charlotte to do the 600. I feel like the one that would be most successful at doing that is Joseph Newgarden. The problem, of course, is Joseph has won the last 2 500s. If he were to try to do that, if he wins the 500, he's got to do everything that the winner does, and there's no way he'd get back to Charlotte in time.
And then you've got to count in red flags and rain delays that we had this year. In fact, at one point, correct me if I'm very much mistaken, we had the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 400 going on at the same time.
Yes, and we're not going to have that happen again this year. I'm going to try to speak that into existence.
Yes, it's not going to
not happen again this year.
If it rains at Indianapolis, we race on Monday. Let's just get that out of the way. I don't know why we stood around. It was a great race last year. It really was. But I don't know why we all went, yeah, let's just stay around for 9 hours. It was ridiculous. Who stays around for 9 hours hoping for a little bit of circle to dry up? We could have just gone back on Monday and had a full day of action, not the rushed procedure we saw. That looks nice on our television screens.
Another fast food commercial.
Well, I haven't eaten, so I'm very hungry.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
You're looking forward to Xfinity? You're covering that, aren't you?
Oh, thrilled to do all the Xfinity Series races this year. That has been just great racing over the last couple of years. Super excited. Their opener on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And I can't wait to have that this year added to our coverage on USRN. As
well, we're doing it too. You do it, we do it.
The dog nearly knocked down the door here. Sorry. That made me... Wow. That was a very loud noise.
Yeah, if you do it, we do it. So we'll have it. I know JT's got you leading the action on Saturday. He said you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that, as Alex Bowman takes the green flag here. Alex Bowman, you know, I don't know how many people know this. The driver that owns the record for most front row starting spots in the Daytona 500 is Alex Bowman. He has started on the front row of this race 6 times.
Ooh.
That is the all-time record.
And never had a victory here.
No, that's not. It did finally. He was one of the many drivers that broke a long winless drought last year. He won in Chicago on the street course, which I don't think a lot of people were expecting him to win there. But he had a good season. A lot of people looked at Alex Bowman last year as if he was not living up to the rest of what the rest of his teammates did. But he got a win, and he ran well as he crosses the line and goes into 7th here at 49.506, so it knocks Michael McDowell out of the top 10. But I just want to tell people, I know we look at wins more than anything else. Bowman only won once, but he had a good season last year.
He did. It was a really strong season for the 48 car. And I think a little bit of love, I think, has returned for Bowman now. He's got the fire back in him and should have won at least, I think, 3 or 4 races last year, not just that one that he got because of the rain and the red flag. It was about, there was a couple of the super speedways that he was doing well at as well.
Kyle Busch on the track here, and this will be Kyle Busch's 19th try to win the Daytona 500. He never has. Of course, came so close a couple of years ago in his first run with RCR when he was leading at the 500-mile mark, but it went to overtime. He's been trying his entire career to win this race, and of course we also know he went winless last year, first time he had ever gone winless as a Cup Series driver.
Keselowski's going to get bumped out here. It's very close between them, and Busch bumps out Keselowski by going 8th fastest, actually, 49.507. He got a lot of speed up at that line.
He is only 1/1000th of a second slower than Alex Bowman, who was only 1/1000th slower than Zane Smith, who was only 1/1000th slower than Kyle Larson. There's 4 1,000ths of a second that separates 5th to 8th.
Might be another one. Here comes Bell. Look at that, 2,000ths, 3,000ths. It's literally milliseconds now. They're going to have to qualify this with the world's smallest thing. This is ridiculous.
Christopher Bell, by the way, with a livery that looks like 2 cars crashed into each other.
It does, doesn't it? It's reminding me of BAR.
the first half of the car in DeWalt colors and the back half in Interstate Batteries green and black.
So what's this going to be for Bell then? 45 thousandths of a second. 47 over the line. And it's 47. The average intelligence of Danica Patrick.
It's fourth fastest for Bell, who knocks out Chase Elliott.
As it was, and can you do it again in the second round?
Well, I sure hope so. It'd be great, right? But yeah, this buildsubmarines.com for Dark Horse Mustang is just fast. I knew in practice that we had something pretty good, and obviously when I cross the line, as a driver, when you hear the pitch of the motor and it doesn't sound bogged down, it sounded like it was pulling. So really proud of these guys, new team. We're going to have our ups, we're going to have our downs, but obviously this, making the second round, I said to my wife before I came out for qualifying, if we can make the second round, I'd be happy. Now we got a pretty sporty RFK car, and try and see if we can get a pole.
Thanks, Ryan. Mike?
Austin Cindric,
So,
25th this morning.
only 8 cars remain. Reese has locked himself into the second round, and what's interesting is he went out extremely early.
Yeah.
He was the 18th car out, so he's going to have more time than anyone to cool his race car down. So Ryan Preece, I think, is very much a contender to win this pole. Austin Cindric across the line, second fastest. Great run at 49.370.
What a lap time. This is getting a lot more quicker now, isn't it? As we look at last year's winner here, William Byron, e-sporter turned legend. And Immortality welcomed him last year in a thrilling 500 race. I don't know what it is, but Daytona just... It's not like any other race on the planet. Even in the Indy 500, you don't get side-by-side drafting and get here. Talladega comes close to Daytona in my level. Talladega, I think everyone watches because it's just going to be a massive wreck. Daytona, you are literally non-stop breathing the entire time. It's one of the most flowing commentaries of the year. I love it. And Byron last year certainly delivered the excellence as RTV Pictures Freeze.
Flames back on the 24 car for Byron, who went to the championship 4 again last year, and we'll see what that 24 car does. Wow, it's not even close to what we thought it would be. He's 18th fastest, 49.636. That is very surprising for that 24 team. So Byron will not be in the second round, and neither will Chase Elliott.
Okay, well, this is starting to get a bit surprising now. I was thinking top hitters here, and they're now going out before we even get started. Bubba Wallace now coming in, battling with Kyle Busch for that top 10 spot. He's down by just a fraction through 1 and 2. Fighting for control of that wheel in his Toyota McDonald's livery. Kyle watches on. And we're starting to get that traction in.
Let's see, you only have 2 Toyotas in the top 10 right now, Bell and Hamlin at 5th and 6th. And it does not look as if Wallace is going to break into the top 10 here either.
No, it does not. It's not looking strong actually at all, is it? Over the line. And it is a time of 49.783. So that has put him down in 24th position. End of the first page of our timing screen. Wow. That is a shocker.
Ross Chastain on the track now, another one of the Floridians in the field from Alva, Florida. And see what he can do in his Trackhouse entry. You do not have a Trackhouse car in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, that surprises
me. Actually, as I look down, you don't have a Trackhouse car in the top 20 right now.
What's happened? So strong early on.
The Trackhouse car right now is Daniel Suarez at 21st, Shane Van Gisbergen at 26th, Helio Castroneves at 34th.
They've got no straight line speed, Matthew. Look at that. Look, on this straight alone, he's lost 2 tenths. He was right through the corners. 3 tenths down the backstretch. Chastain has no straight line speed whatsoever. just time ticking away, and he almost looks bored behind that. He hasn't blinked once on this lap, by the way. Not one. There's the first blink.
Very focused, isn't he? He's got the visor up too, even, as Chastain comes to the line, and this is a very disappointing run for the 1 team.
That is 33rd overall, 49.997. Wow.
Joey Logano, the defending Cup Series champion and the winner of the Daytona 500 in 2015. Hard to believe it's been 10 years ago. And hard to believe Joey Logano's been in the Cup Series for 17 years, but off he goes in that Joseph Newgarden livery.
Hard to believe he's a 3-time champion. Many people last year, of course, complaining that he was somewhat of an undeserving champion, winning, 3 races? But he was there, all admittedly, there were 3 races he needed to win.
Yeah, he won what, 4 races for the season, and 3 of them came in the playoffs.
That was it, yeah. Won the ones he needed to.
Winning at Nashville, Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. He is trying to bump Kyle Busch out of the top 10, and it looks like he's going to. Swings up out of turn 4, tracking about 1/10 of a second faster than Busch. Logano comes to the line, and he will break into the top 10 as he goes 3rd fastest, 49.401. Bumps Kyle Busch out, puts Alex Bowman on the bubble, and Logano has secured his spot into the 2nd round as he tries to win the pole for this race in back-to-back years.
That's better luck now as well for Logano to come through. Much better run. Don't forget it was McDowell who finished on the front row with him last year. It was Logano and McDowell who had the front row. Logano took it away at the last second, as now we look at Ty Gibbs and his qualifying run. Staying with the back of Bowman. There's still 60 thousandths between them through 1 and 2, which is decent stuff. The 2 Dylans again, Ty and Austin, 4th and 5th on our timing screens now as well. Just getting pushed down, as noticed at the corner of my eye. And it's this back stretch. There's just the Toyota struggle on the straights. So
and I don't think that's catching them by much of a surprise either.
And they're expecting,
like I said, Toyota's, not historically known for great qualifying speed on these super speedways. But again, Bell and Hamlin are going to be in the 2nd round at 6th and 7th right now. As Ty Gibbs comes to the line, he does not break into the top 10.
22nd, Matthew, wow.
And we've only got 2 cars left now in this round, Chase Briscoe and Josh Berry. That means that Kyle Larson is locked in to the 2nd round.
Good stuff for Larson to come through. Kind of expected that, though, in the 5 car. Chase Briscoe, now in the 19 car. Still want to call it Martin Truex Jr.
and you're going to want to on Sunday, too, because Truex is in another Bass Pro Shops car.
Similar, of course, the 56 is his original number and his dad's number as well. Very much an emotional story come Sunday. Briscoe's flying here.
Yeah, now Briscoe's got some good speed in his Toyota. He's 1/10 and a half up on Bowman. And it looks like he's going to knock Bowman out. So this is a better lap for Chase Briscoe here as that Toyota comes up out of turn number 4. Hope this doesn't happen on Sunday. As Briscoe comes to the line. And I'm talking about our feed, of course. Oh, and Briscoe's gone fastest. Wow, what a run by Chase Briscoe. 49.218 seconds. Chase Briscoe has gone to the top of the board. So how about that? Talking about the Toyotas and how they're struggling. And Briscoe puts his Toyota on top of the board, 182.860 miles an hour. So Briscoe goes to the top, and Josh Berry, the last car to hit the racetrack here in round 1 for the famous Wood brothers from Stewart, Virginia, who, of course, went to victory lane last time we were at Daytona last summer with Harrison Burton.
Over now, and it's 18 thousandths of a second to get through. 10,000. This is looking good for Berry. He's keeping up with Zane Smith. Takes that same tight line through 3 and 4, getting right down to the double yellow. This is good. This is very good.
I I think he got a bit of a headwind down the back straightaway, and Barry trying to knock Zane Smith out. This is the last run of the round, and Barry, did he do it? Yes, he did. Josh Barry goes up to 6th fastest, and he will compete for the pole as he knocks out Zane Smith.
49.484. Fantastic time there. Where did Briscoe end up when I ran into? Oh, top of the board, 49.218.
Top of the board. How about that?
I was looking down the screen thinking, where was he? That's, I ran. The TV pictures being controlled upstairs, so I had to run from the commentary box into the house, up the stairs, refresh the page, back down again, and all within 30 seconds. I am surprised I can still do that. So there we are, 45 cars qualified, and it looks as well, unfortunately, Matthew, that we've got, I think, very much some that we know are not going to be there. And some of them are even our full-time entry lists. What's going on? It's all weird.
Yeah. So the top 10 from that first round move on to the second round, and of those 10 drivers, got 4 Fords, 3 Chevrolets, and 3 Toyotas. And if you are watching on JB Motorsports, you have the leaderboard to your left. But for those on USRN, in order from fastest to slowest, the 10 drivers that will compete for the pole will be Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Ty Dillon, who's the biggest surprise of those 10, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson. Those are the 10 that will compete in round 2 for the pole. The difference between 10th place Larson and 11th place Zane Smith, 1/1000th of a second.
If you want insanity, there you go. 1/1000th.
And of course, as we also confirmed in this round, Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson, who ended up 22nd and 28th fastest, they have locked themselves into the Daytona 500 field on Sunday. They will not have to race their way in tomorrow as the 2 fastest open cars tonight. They're already into the 500. So tomorrow night in the 2 qualifying races, Justin Allgaier, Corey LaJoie, Anthony Alfredo, Chandler Smith, and BJ McLeod will have to race their way in. And of course, also a part of that with a dotted line is Elio Castroneves. He doesn't have to race his way in. He's in with a provisional, with the new special exempt provisional, but he can still race his way in, which would open up a spot for someone else if he were to. All of that confusion we'll cover tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was going to say, confusing, yes. Diabolically clever, oh, absolutely. That's what I'm liking with this. It's getting us entertained, and you can't really say that we're not entertained, can you? It's sort of like, it's a catch-33 almost, in terms of we've got 3 different things to look out for, 3 different manufacturers, and I really am loving it. I will admit, though, I did lose my passion a bit last year for NASCAR. I'll happily admit it was starting to get a little bit tiresome for me, but I'm really enjoying the fact that we're back now, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I was trying to do something clever, and it hasn't worked.
And, of course, there's only one off week for the Cup Series this year. That's on Easter weekend. And even on Easter weekend, there will be Xfinity and Truck Series races at Rockingham. So we now have at least one NASCAR race on every weekend now for 37 consecutive weeks, I think it is.
Hang on a minute. So what you're telling me now is that I'm now trapped for 37 weeks. Oh dear. Right. Save me, pit lane. Save me.
What's it going to take to find just a little bit more and maybe contend for the front row?
Well, first of all, I'm really happy for our Bass Pro Shops, Winchester Ammunition, Chevy. That's a really good lap. You know, that's what you want to show everybody, that you got some speed. So proud of Richard Boswell and our team, and looking forward to this year with them. And we'll see if we can pick up a little bit of speed, at least be the top Chevy in the group. And it's cool to see Ty up there in the top 10 as well. So we'll see if we can advance a little bit further.
Well, let's see. Let's find out what Ty thinks right now. Jamie, how about Ty?
Yeah, his younger brother Ty with a great effort there, 5th so far. You come back up to the Cup Series with Collick Racing now. How good did that lap feel?
Yeah, that was a really cool lap. It's been such an honor to be back in the Cup Series. I can't thank Matt Call and Chris Rice, the guys, for giving me an opportunity to do this again. So it's a super blessing. I'm a big believer in momentum. We've had a great off season. We signed 2 wonderful sponsors with Grizzly nicotine pouches and Seabest, and everything in the off season has just been focused on going fast and trying to win races. So this is just a shout out to all the men and women at Colic for working so hard. A lot of people like to say this doesn't matter, but it really does. This is a way that we can prove that all our hard work is paying off in the off season and start our season on the right foot.
Well done.
Thank you.
10 drop.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to Nadbay. What a surprise.
Yeah, that's an impressive run from Ty Dillon to get that car into the top 10 for college. That now, if you were to have asked me before, would there be over or under 0.5 Dillons in the second round, I probably would have taken the under on that, and I would have been wrong.
So, I'm just highlighting on my board here. I assume you have the same thing, the qualifying order and worksheet. I love how they put track qualifying record, Bill Elliott, by the way, 1987. 42.783 is the time, but speed at 210.364. Oh, how I wish we did that again. I don't like how it's that. Oh, right. So we've got Austin Cindric going in, and he was number 38 on the list, so I'll just highlight him to make sure that we know who's gone through. Then we've got Austin Dillon in the 3 Cup. He's going through as well. And where did he run on the list? Quite high up, didn't he? There we go. He ran 16th. So what we're seeing here, Matthew, already, that there's no real advantage or disadvantage from running either early or later. But as you pointed out, it's fantastic for cooling the car. So there's no track advantage, but for the second runs, there will be cooling advantages.
Absolutely right. And I think Ryan Preece gets the biggest advantage because, again, he went out much earlier than everyone else. So his car's been sitting on pit road cooling this entire time versus a guy like Chase Briscoe who went faster than Preece, but he was the second to last out. So NASCAR is going to give these guys a little bit of a moment to cool the cars down as much as they can, but there's just no way that a guy like Josh Berry, the 21 team, the 19 team, can get their cars cooled down to the point that Ty Dillon has cooled down his car, or Ryan Preece has cooled down his.
Yeah, and I'm worried about Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, Briscoe and Berry were the last 2 out, and they're going to go again, so.
Just trying to see where Bell ended up as well. He ran 37th alongside Austin Cindric. So really some good advantages there. This is usually what we have during the time where there's people in the pit lane doing some interviews. This is what you see the commentators do. We sort of go through our list and highlight things and make sure that we know what's coming up for you back at home. It's sort of live production management that we have. And I've got my sort of clipboard with the practice results on one side and the qualifying results on the other, so I can rotate easily enough to know speeds. And then on the wall I've got the entry list, and then on the desk here I've got driver stats. I've got an iPad which has all 45 drivers on it telling me information. Let's go down there to Regan Smith.
Austin Cindric to go do that in just a few moments. How do you find a little bit more out of this number 2 car?
Yeah, obviously that lap by Briscoe is pretty strong, but you know, I think we're within range here. See what a refire does when everything's nice and hot. Try and hit my shifts good again and get that launch just a little bit better. So I'm excited. Just kind of tired for my things fast.
All right, good luck. Thanks.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be another. Go on, Matthew.
Yeah, I thought they were going to have someone else lined up. Anyway. So they're going to get these 10 cars lined up and ready to go here in just a couple of moments. And I will be incredibly interested to see how this Ryan Preece and Ty Dillon cars run. Because, like I said, they've had a long time to sit and cool those cars. And those, I don't know if anyone thought those two would be in this second round to begin with, but it would seem they have really good chance to possibly win this poll.
One good thing I'm looking at here is that we've had a real split. Austin Dillon ran 16th, Ryan Preece ran 18th, Ty Dillon 23rd, Denny Hamlin 28th, Kyle Larson 32nd, Christopher Bell and Austin Cindric 37th, 38th, Joey Logano was 42nd, and Chase Briscoe and Josh Berry 44th, 45th. So the track sort of did improve as we went along, but they're still early hitters. So I am with you on that. We've got to see what Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, Ryan Preece can do. Is Denny Hamlin's car going to be competitive? And how can Josh Berry, who I presume right now is just stood in front of his car going quite quickly, just cooling it down?
Yeah, I'd say they're huffing and puffing down there.
If he's feeling a bit weak in the bladder, you might get that to cool it down as well. The old trick, if as well. Do you know that does actually work? It's the same thing as like a jellyfish sting as well. It's the same type of thing for a kart. If it overheats just on the radiator, there you go. You cool it down.
Things you learn.
Things you learn. Yeah. It's very bizarre, but you know, it's one of the strangest things I've ever heard about. When I was in the touring car paddock last year, talking to, we had one of the fans break on one of the nappers in testing, and it was soaking wet. And I said, "Well, is the radiator really that critical when it's so wet and so cold? Well, you can just go there. The car's not going to overheat that much." He said, "It's not that. It's the fact is that it overheats the battery hybrid because we can't get that wet, so it's overheating everything around there." And then they said that once when it was nearly overheating, when it stopped, we just radioed him and told him to, well, relieve himself on it to cool it down. So it's weird. I mean, it's body temperature, I suppose, but once it cooled down, it's very cold. That's why in the North Pole, if you need to relieve yourself, you can only relieve yourself for a maximum of 30 seconds. Otherwise, you will not have anything anymore.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Boy, oh boy.
Don't ask how I spend my off seasons.
Boy, where do we go from there?
Qualifying. Josh Berry coming in. So is this the order they're going to go out then? Because I've got on my timing screen Cindric, Dillon, Larson as well.
Yep, we're gonna go in reverse order. So 10th fastest will go first in this second round, and 10th fastest was Kyle Larson.
Right.
So you'll go in reverse order of how they ended up in round one. So Kyle Larson's going to be the first car we see on track here for this run for the pole.
This is going to be tense, to say the least. It's going to be.
This is incredibly important for the teams, because any driver will tell you the drivers don't do much in this qualifying session. They have to hit their marks coming out of pit road to get the car up to maximum speed. Other than that, all they have to do is hold a steady wheel. But this really is all about the teams. The teams have worked for a long time to get these cars set up, and this is a huge, huge event for the teams and a huge award for the teams if they're the ones to win the pole. As off we go, Kyle Larson onto the racetrack, and this is the run for the Daytona 500 pole. 10 cars, 1 lap each. The fastest 2 get front row spots locked in. Everyone else has to settle their starting spots tomorrow in the qualifying races.
I never really thought of it that way, you know, in terms of qualifying is essentially pointless in many regards, especially for the top 10 here, because the top 10 is only the first 5 rows of the grid, and here at Daytona, you could be 10th and leading at the end of the opening lap for the bump draft alone. It doesn't matter. This is just glory runs pretty much for the teams. And I suppose there's still honour, a bit like at Le Mans, really. I always find qualifying at Le Mans a bit pointless, because it's a 24-hour race. We don't need a qualifying. So you just go on practice time or something like that. But here we go. Anyway, lap time has started. He's at 180 for Kyle Larson out of the tri-oval. I wish there'd be a bit more pomp and circumstance, though, for NASCAR and Daytona 500. Like at Indy with qualifying, you get the build up that, and then you get the green flag really flying hard. I wish there'd be a bit more oomph about it. This just seems like, let's just get it over with.
Well, I have many answers for that, but that would we'd be here for a long time if you let me go on my diatribe about that. But indeed,
we've only got 23 minutes before we're off air.
Larson glued and screwed on the bottom of the racetrack as he swings up out of turn 4 and faces the checkered flag. He was 10th fastest in round 1. He's the first to go out in round 2 and completes his lap in 49.522 seconds.
It's all right.
And that's 181.737 miles per hour.
So, what do we have before? It was Austin Cindric, wasn't it, who topped the session before, and he did a 49.370. So it's not quick, but in terms of cooling the car down, it could be quick, and Hamlin's had much more time to do that, and he's right there with Larson. He's really taking the edge here, Denny Hamlin. In fact, he's now ahead of Larson. The number 11 car that ran 28th, so before Kyle Larson's by a factor of 4, is still looking quite strong here to have that extra cool down time.
Yeah, and again, we wouldn't expect a lot of these guys to go quicker on the second run. You wouldn't expect it. But Denny Hamlin looking good as he comes out of turn 4, tracking almost a 1/10 of a second faster than Larson. Comes to the flag, and he goes to the provisional pole at 49.413 seconds.
And that is faster than what he did previously as well. It was a 49.496 in that previous session. So Hamlin is faster than what we've just had before. Larson was slower than his previous run. So Hamlin's the only one improving. Bell already got his hand up against the netting to close off that airflow. He starts the lap now, and it's a bit more even through his positioning in the trial through 1 and 2. Hits the bump though mid-corner. Car jolts, cost him a few thousands, but he's right there with Hamlin. This is much better from Bell.
We'll see if he has the muscle in this Toyota, but he is right there. He's almost mirroring Hamlin on the tracker. He's only 1/100th of a second back now, 2 100ths, and again, deciding the pole might decide, you know, be based solely on what kind of wind you get pushing for you or against you on the back straightaway, as here comes Bell, Josh.
Over the line, 37, 42, 46, 48 thousandths across the line. It's second, 49.465. Hamlin still on provisional pole then. Okay.
Toyota has never won the pole for the Daytona 500.
This is big for them if they can do it. What about Austin Dillon, the 2018 Daytona 500 winner as well, in that 3 car? That went strong earlier on.
And he has won the pole for the 500 before as well. He did it as a rookie in 2014. So Dillon is on the clock as off he goes on his last run of the night. And in turn 2, he is tracking 2 100ths of a second off of Hamlin's pole time.
Now, Bell was faster than his previous lap time as well. Austin Dillon's previous was a 49.487, and he's right there with Hamlin, who's faster than his time, and by 10,000. So Dillon's going to go faster as well, and he's the earliest runner, remember. He went 16th in the previous run.
Oh, it's so close. I mean, this is razor-thin margins. As Dillon comes towards the line, it looks like he's just going to be slower than Hamlin by just a little bit, and he is. 49.444. He is 3 100ths of a second slower than Hamlin. Dillon is second.
That is 43 thousandths of a second quicker than his time set in the previous session in stage 1, so getting better. And now, Josh Berry, who ran last in that session, he did his time 49.484, but he's already 10 thousandths then Berry. Surely not a car that's only just gone out. Had 3 cars go next. He's already battling with Hamlin, and he's up in the exit of turn 2. And accelerating.
You know what? Maybe we had it wrong the whole time. Maybe if it's already got the juices flowing, comes out with the, fluid still a little warm, maybe that's better. Who knows? What do we know, right?
Well, it's defying the laws of physics. That's what's happening. Berry's really quick in the Ford over the line. He's losing it now. 50, 46, 45, 44 across the line. It's going to be quick. He's done it to 49, 376. What happened there? I've never seen that. We saw that happened in Indianapolis, but it doesn't happen at Daytona.
Wow. That is a strong lap from Berry. Bumps Austin Dillon off the front row. And speaking of Austin Dillon, here's his brother Ty. Now he is the big surprise of this group of the 10 that got into the second round. Not many expected him. Ty Dillon for Colleague Racing. Off he goes into turns 1 and 2, the West banking on the speedway, trying to shock us even more.
49.460 was his time this morning. He's 27 thousandths down to Berry at the moment on the lead, so it's going to put him second fastest. It's surprising me. You look how much traction he's got as well coming into 3 and 4. He's gaining speed on that straightaway, and he's going to be quick in the corner as well. Different position on the track, avoiding the major bumps mid-corner. Going up slightly high in the middle of 3 and 4 into the tribal, Matthew. This is looking strong.
Ty Dillon from Welcome, North Carolina, comes to the line. Where will he end up? He will be 5th fastest at a 49.466.
Yeah, lost it at the exit into the tribal. Here's a man who should take pole position, Joey Logano, as he starts his lap time. Check his glove. Is it knitted?
He won the pole for this race last year. He won this race 10 years ago. He's the defending series champion. Off goes Joey Logano on his lap as he tries to win the Daytona 500 pole for a second year in a row. And in turn 2, his time is mirroring the time of Josh Berry.
This is going to be about avoiding the bumps then, Matthew. Look at that, they're matching! They're still matching! Unbelievable! They are virtually identical! It's going to be the entry into 3 and 4. It's avoiding that bump mid-corner. Logano avoided it, Berry didn't. And now he's just starting to eke ahead. Is this the pole time, Matthew? I think it could be.
Oh, it's so close. It's going to be so close on all of these cars right to the end, but I think Joey's going to do it. Here he is at the line. He does do it. 49.358. He knocks Josh Berry off the pole.
This is unbelievable. And he didn't blink, but the visor came down mid-corner, so that would have distracted him a little bit. Unbelievable. Berry's not going to be on pole, but here comes Austin Cindric, the winner in 2022. Over the line to start his time now. 3 left to run.
Cindric, the Gateway winner from last year. He broke an 85-race winless streak with that win in St. Louis last summer. As Josh mentioned, won this race in 2022 as a rookie. It's his teammate, Logano, that's currently sitting on the pole. And Cindric, down the back straightaway, is tracking faster than Logano by only 2/100ths of a second as he heads to turn 3.
Ironic, it's the number between them as well as they come through. Again, they're both avoiding that bump, but Cindric has got a better turn 1 and 2, and he's dragged that speed all the way round into the tri-oval. Logano might catch up here. What are we going to see from Cindric? Over the line. It's a new provisional pole position. It's a 49.325. It is getting broken again and again and again.
Well, let's see if Ford can do this, because when Logano won the pole last year, it was the first Ford to win the Daytona 500 pole since Carl Edwards in 2012. We're down to 2 cars left. Ryan Preece, who was top of the board for such a long time in that first round, is on the clock. He's had the longest time of anyone to cool down that RFK number 60. This would be an enormous achievement if RFK could win this pole. I can't overstate that enough. Let's see if he can do it with two Penske cars currently on the front row.
Different line on the back stretch, almost side by side with each other on the virtual camera as well. 6,000's coming through. It was really fast there, wasn't it? 10,000's 12.
Gosh.
This is going to be tight across that line from Priest. I don't think it's... Oh, look at that! He avoided the bump. He's got a much better exit to the tri-oval. It's a 49.335. Second fastest by 10,000ths.
That is, oh my goodness. Priest to second. He bumps Logano off the front row. So here it is. The pole sitter will either be Austin Cindric or Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, remember, a Toyota has never won the pole for the Daytona 500. Here is their chance to do it with Chase Briscoe in his first ride out in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 19. Here he goes to turn 1, and he's already tracking faster than Cindric by 3/100ths of a second. This could be Chase Briscoe's time.
This could be Toyota's time. You said earlier on they've never had a pole position here at Daytona. That 19 car is flying at the hands of a new master. But can he tame it into 3 and 4, controlling it nicely? He's avoided the bump. He's ahead by a car length. He's got this one home.
Won the Southern 500 last year to race his way into the playoffs in the last race of the regular season, and now in his first run with Joe Gibbs Racing, Mitchell, Indiana's Chase Briscoe has just won the pole for the 67th running of the Daytona 500. Chase Briscoe has done it for Toyota.
49.249. Unbelievable. Toyota have pole position for the Daytona 500. The 19 team, who everybody was going to write off coming into this year, they've put them right back on. It may be a new man behind the wheel, but it's still the same old tricks and surprises we're seeing. Wow.
So the front row is set. It's Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric, two first-time front row starters for the 500, will lead the field to the green flag on Sunday.
I didn't see that coming.
No, I did not see a Toyota win, and sweeping it. Remember, he was fastest in round 1, fastest in round 2. That is totally against what history would normally tell you with these Toyotas on qualifying night here at Daytona. That's an impressive effort from James Small and the entire 19 team.
I am seriously impressed. Oh, how buzzing is that? Absolutely brilliant for Chase Briscoe. 49.249. Austin Cindric second. Ryan Preece third. Joe Logano's fourth. Josh Berry fifth. Denny Hamlin sixth. Austin Dillon seventh. Christopher Bell eighth. Ty Dillon ninth. And Kyle Larson rounds out the top 10. We have 10 minutes until the MotoGP kicks off for our coverage, so I'm going to have to sign off on JB Motorsports now, and we'll continue on USON. Matthew, closing thoughts to you?
I'm impressed by that entire Toyota effort at Joe Gibbs Racing with James Small. Everything's totally new over there at that 19, with Chase Briscoe coming in, working with a new team, new manufacturer, new crew chief, new everything. And the first thing, other than Bowman Gray, that he's going to do with that team is lead the field to the green flag for the Daytona 500. That's awesome for Chase Briscoe.
Absolutely fantastic news as well. Thank you, Matthew. We'll continue on USON. But it is a new pole sitter for the Daytona 500. Join us tomorrow, though, when we set the rest of the grid, because they've still got to race their way in tomorrow. The Jewels of Daytona, live on JB Motorsports. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.